Hey guys, Dr. Dent here. I just wanted to make a quick PvP oriented video with some tips and strategies that my squad uses to increase our survival chances in the DZ. Hopefully it'll help you survive those rogue timers or take down those rogues yourself. I just wanted to start off by saying that almost everybody in the higher tiers and higher levels are abusing the equipment glitches and talent bugs. Regrettably, if you aren't using them, then you're putting yourself at a pretty major disadvantage. I hope that they fix it soon because it makes the PvP pretty lame. You'll find yourself running out of ammo, and that last bullet that would have killed them doesn't because of the mask heal. And Reckless being bugged makes people take almost no damage when they should be taking a lot more. But bugs and glitches aside, let's get into it. Firstly, I just want to talk about basic combat. Since the headshot boxes in this game move all over the place, whether you're starting a sprint, stopping a sprint, going into cover, coming out of cover, switching sides on cover, it's all over the place, and it makes it really hard to land those consistent headshots. So combat is split into two sections, offensive combat and defensive combat. Defensive combat is like when you're running away, you're reloading, you're throwing a grenade, you're trying to do combat rolls in order to get your heals or cooldowns back up. While offensive combat is basically just shooting the guy. A lot of times it turns into these heads up all in moments where it's just you and one other guy looking at each other, laying into each other's skulls and hoping to take one out. Defensive moments are super important when it comes to combat. It allows you to gauge your opponent's overall damage. He's most likely going to be doing body shots to you, as it's super hard to land those consistent headshots while your opponent's running around or combat rolling. So while you're combat rolling or running away, you really need to be watching your health pool and seeing how much damage they're doing to you so that when that heads up moment happens, you can gauge whether or not you need to pop your overheal to start so that you start with an advantage over them. If you have the medkit talent that also gives you an overheal, you can use that as well. I don't really use that because there are plenty of other talents that I believe are better for PvP. Offensive combat is the opposite. You really need to pay attention to how much damage you're dealing to the enemy so that in those multiple target engagements, you pick the target that is the highest threat to you. Usually, if you're not doing that much damage to a target, it means he's either built tank or he has survivor link up and you're just not seeing the visual. In this clip, you can see I hit that guy for around 55k twice in the head and he didn't go down. So I can safely assume he built tank, and since he has that shield, I can cautiously assume that he's an electronics build and we shouldn't group up. Your number one priority in team fights is to revive your downed team members. A tip for this is to put yourself right in between them and the enemy, right on top of your friend. That way, if the enemy comes up and tries to bash your friend, chances are they'll hit you instead of them, and you absorb the bullets that would otherwise kill them. During every defensive moment where you're not vaulting over cover or you're not popping heal or doing anything that interrupts reloading, you should be reloading. Even if you fired one shot, always reload. You never know which bullet's going to down your enemy, so reloading is super important. Another pretty common tip is when you fire a heal on the ground, it heals twice. Once for the initial heal, and then about a second later, it heals again. When a player pops the double tap heal, it is also on the ground, but it's invisible, so you can still run over it to receive both the single and double heal. When you're engaged in PvP, it's best to stay out of cover. As you can see here, he goes into cover and it just lays his head on a silver platter for me. Unluckily, I was reloading, but he dies anyways. If you're going to go rogue, you want to be paying attention at all times. Right here, we stopped paying attention, we started fighting mobs, and then Frubles gets downed pretty quickly from behind. This guy then pops the tech signature, which I really don't like at all. I rather have uh, the Survivor Link signature. I could see a group of four taking three Survivor Links and one of the Medical Wing signatures, but Survivor Link just beats out the tech signature 100% of the time. You can compensate for not having the tech signature damage by just using Tactical Scanner on Pulse. Signature skills aside, your next best friend in this game when you're rogue are mobs. You always want to try and put mobs between you and the players that are chasing you. If you're forced to run away, the best thing to do is to just run through a group of mobs because it takes time for them to aggro. And usually, even after they aggro, they try and run to cover first. So you're usually past them, or at least mostly past them, by the time that they are ready to fire and the enemy players will be just arriving. So they take the brunt of the damage, allowing you to escape or turn around and down them pretty easily. Here, since we have pretty decent cover, the players are forced to come into this area where they're completely exposed and they just get melted by the mobs mostly, and we just get to finish them off freely. My final piece of advice is to always have somebody in your squad with the anti-scan pulse mod. It is super underrated and it protects you from a ton of potential damage. Some people have a pulse that increases their crit damage by 60 to 80%. So if you have that anti-pulse, it will save your life, I promise you. The way you can tell if you're scanned is if Another player scans you, you get white boxes on your character. As you can see in this next clip, I get white boxes all around my character, which means that I've been scanned, and then you can tell your friend to pop the anti-scan and you'll be safe. As usual, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope that this helps you survive the DZ at least a little bit more. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments section. I try to respond to as many as I can. I'll try to release a short build video for this build, hopefully tomorrow. It's basically the same build as my best endgame build video. I just switched a couple of stats around to get myself up to 210,000 DPS with around 72k health and 4,300 armor with 20,000 skill power, I believe. I recommend you maintain at least a little skill power so that you can send yourself into that overheal. It really increases your survivability. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.